Hi guys, I was asked to make some instructions on how to use your Cricut Explorer with the print and cut feature to precisely print a scaled model to the scale that you want. And what I chose to do that was a Clever Models. So if we go to clevermodels.net, you go down on the left side, you'll see Get Freebies button. You click that. The one that I chose was this HO scale manila rope and cord file, and so I downloaded that, and it comes up in the web browser like this. And you've got a first page with the front of the building, the base, the door inset, the roof overlay, and the second page is the side walls and this little shed, outhouse maybe, I don't know, and some detail parts, door frames, window frames, that sort of stuff. And then there's an exploded view of kind of how to put it together, and then some pictures of the finished model. So once you got this downloaded, what you want to do is get out of your web browser and go look at this in Adobe Viewer, because we want to be able to edit this and do some things. So let me make it small, and here's our Adobe Viewer. So now we're looking at it in the Adobe Viewer, Adobe Reader I should say, and right now we're looking at it at 100%. What I do is zoom into 400%. We can go a larger zoom, but the picture, the image starts to get a little grainy and pixelated. I'll show you that. So you can see along the edge of the L, hopefully, that there are little stair steps where the pixels show up. And I've found that, at least with this free image, that 400% works the best. So now once you're at a 400% zoom, you go up here to the Edit area, click the Take a Snapshot. I already have it clicked, so we're going to do that. Your arrow turns to a little crosshair. Position the crosshair as close as you can to the upper left corner, and then you're going to drag that all the way to the right and the bottom right corner of this page. And what you want to do is capture this whole page. So drag it down, get just to the corner of the page, because that's the printable area, and we let go, and it'll flash and beep at you. Now that whole thing that we just highlighted is copied to our clipboard. And we're going to do that for each of these two pages. But what we want to do is copy and paste that, which we just copied it. So now we want to put it in our photo editor. And now, whether this be, I use CorelDRAW Photo Paint, but you can use whatever you want, Photoshop or GIMP or whatever. So let's flip over to that screen, and we're going to go to, I've already got it pulled in here, but you'll see what happens, what I've already pasted in here. First thing I want to do is make a new image that is the same size as our image that we copied. So it's 8.5 by 11, and I'm going to make it at 600 dpi. I'm just going to give it an untitled page, create that new image. Once I've gotten that here, I've got the stuff is on my clipboard, so I go up and go Edit, Paste, as New Object. Now your software may be different. That puts it on here. It's not sized correctly. It brought it in, but because my screen capture resolution was different from my page resolution, it brought it in to fit the dots per inch that the screen capture was. So what we now have to do is size this up. Paste as New Object. Let's make sure the little lock is locked. Okay, and 11 inches. There we go. Well, it's 8.5 inches. So 5, and it's a little less than 11 inches. And we want the top of the corner to be at 0. Y to be at 0, that puts it right on our page, And now we can save that off as our first page. Let me hit enter. And now that is on our page. I would save this first page, go back to the Adobe Reader, cut and copy, and make a second document, and save that second page. If you were going to make this a separate scale, then I would scale this whole thing. Use your, up here you've got a, well in mine, I've got a scale option. I would have this whole thing selected and then scale it down to N scale or Z or whatever you're going to make it as. But right now we're going to leave it like this. The next thing we want to do is, because our Cricut can only cut a 5.5 by 6 3/4 inch area, we want to go to File, create another new document or image, and make it 5.5 by 6.75. But make sure we keep this resolution the same. Okay? So now we've got our new document. Now we go back to our original document that the whole page that we brought in. We're going to use the mask tool. Right now I've got it masked. I'll remove that mask. We're going to pick the area that we want to put on that page. So I'm going to select this front wall because I'm pretty sure that will all fit on that. Let me try and get close to our wall. Go to Edit, copy that, go to the new page that we just made, the Untitled 5, and paste that as a new object. Now this object is already scaled, and so what we want to do is we can push this over, but we want to clean it up. We want to get rid of these little fold lines. We want to finish out. You can see, let me zoom in here. You can see that this glue tab has a notch out of it. We need to make that glue tab watertight and outlined so that the Cricut Design Space trace routine will pick that up and not pick up all these lines. So what you want to do is go around and remove all the extraneous lines that you do not want cut. So all of those little things. You want to make sure that your glue tabs are fully formed. See, like the end of this one's cut off. You want to do that. Take out all these little extra things that we captured in there. And you see how there's some ghosting on these bricks that are in here. Well, this center section gets cut out, but if we leave those bricks in there, the trace routine will pick that up. And the other thing, let me zoom way in here, is that you see how the mortar lines are the same color as the background in these areas? If we don't put a watertight border around this brick area, then the Cricut's going to try and come in and cut all those little mortar lines, and we don't want that. So what I usually do is I take my eyedropper tool, pick up a nice brick color that I think is medium, whatever. I use my line tool, set it to about 2 pixels wide, and I will just draw a line around the whole shape, whatever I want cut, to give me a nice crisp edge, because I don't want these little jaggies in there. The Cricut likes cutting straight edges. It will cut pretty detailed edges, but if there's a lot of crinklies, it will cause it a little bit of trouble. So go around your whole model and square off these edges, clean up the areas that need to be cleaned up, and get that all set. And once you've got that set, you can remask this image and push it over pretty close to the corner of our 5.5 by 6 3/4. Then you can go bounce back and forth between the whole piece and pull in pieces that you'll know will fit in that area, other pieces that you want to cut out of the same type of stock. So let's say we were making the front piece out of index, but we want this inset door out of just regular paper. Well, then we would bring that over into a separate image and make up a couple different images. When I scaled this to N scale, things that are really narrow, like this little teeny window frame, zoom in, the sign, those don't cut very well. You can cut the outside of it, but trying to cut the inside of it on the Cricut, do one or the other. Either cut the inside or cut the outside. Don't try and cut both. They're just too thin and it tends to rip it out. Same with this little piece of trim that's supposed to go down the middle of this door, possibly this door frame. These might cut okay in HO. You're going to have to test. This is more about getting things to scale to the correct size in the design space than telling you what you can and can't cut. So let's go back to our image that we've got. I'll zoom out a little bit. So let's say we're just going to cut just that wall. Well, the one thing that you need for the design space is you need some crop marks, because even though we've got this scaled correctly to cut the right size, that it would print the right size from our photo editing software, it will not cut the right size once we bring it into design space. So what I would do is take you can take the rectangle tool or whatever you want, but I just take my paintbrush. I'm going to pick black, and I am going to zoom in all the way to the corner, and I'm going to make a little mark, a little block that runs into the corner. That's a little registration mark. And I'll do the other corner down at the very bottom and just make a little block that is something. Doesn't have to be square, doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be that big, but it's something that you can scale once you bring this image in, that you know that those two are 6 3/4 apart, and because it'll keep the ratio of height to width, you only need one dimension. You can put them in all the corners if you want, but you really don't need them. So let me save this file. I'm going to save it as a portable network graphics, a PNG file. So I'm going to call this HO scale front. Now, I'm not going to print this out, but I'm going to take you to the Cricut Design Space. So we save that. It's going to give you an alert that objects will be merged. That's fine. We expect that. We want to make sure that it's got transparency. There we go. Alright, now we're ready to send this, even though it's only got one thing on it, to the design space. And I'll pop over there and show you how that works. So we fire up our Cricut Design Space, log in. Okay, we're logged in. Go to a file, go to a new. I'm going to go to upload my image. It's a basic upload. I'm going to go to select, browse it, and we're looking for HO scale front. There it is. And you'll see what I mean when I bring this in. So it's just a simple image is what we're going to tell it. Go to the next, and it will bring up my image here. Okay, there it is. So now we use this little magic wand. I didn't cut out the front door and stuff, but that's okay. Well, and I'm going to pick the white area, and you'll see what it does. So it left all of this stuff, and it's showing you what it's going to cut out. Let's look at it with the eyeball, and this will erase the graphic, but it'll show you the lines that it's going to cut. And we can zoom in on that, and you can see that those are pretty clean cuts around the edge. There's a little goober right there. If we wanted to, we could go back in and clean that up. But for the most part, this looks pretty straight. I'm just going to cut. These are the shingles that are in there, so those are supposed to be crookedy along that one edge. And the rest of it looks pretty good. Now, if we wanted to go back into my image editor and clean up that one little the couple little glitches that we've got in the corners, we could do that. This little thing's going to be a funky little cut, but I'm not worried about that right now. But this is showing you the steps. Once we've got that set, we go to step 3, give it a name, and you can call it part 1 of the kit. I would name it whatever kit you're doing. Save that. Once that's saved, we can bring that image into our Design Space layout page. Okay, so now you can see that this is my front. It's all uploaded. I click that and give it a green check mark. It's going to put that image in. But you'll see when I bring it in that it's not necessarily the size that I told it to be. And that's why you got to make sure you put those little crop marks in the corner. Okay, so it brought it in. You can see that it's very, very tiny on my screen. So I go up here to edit, make sure my lock is locked, and I know that that was 6.75 inches high. So now I just made it that height, and I can put it anywhere on here. And because of those crop marks, it picks those crop marks. It's going to cut those, but I don't really care. It's just for getting the scaling right. Once I've got that configured this way, it will cut it. It will be the right size. It will be scaled as all the other pages. And so now we can save this, project name, hit save, and it's ready to hit go on your machine, and it will be the size that you told it to be. And if all the parts were on here all scaled, I can drag as many as I can fit in that little area and print them out and cut them out, and they'd be fine. So that's the basic procedures to do print and cut and get things to scale the size that you want them to be. Key thing is make sure your image is very clean, the outside, that it's watertight, that when you select the background with that magic wand tool when you get to Design Space, that you're not cutting a bunch of stuff out that you don't want to be. And then make sure you include some crop marks somewhere around the border of the image to be able to size it correctly once you get it into Design Space. Alright, see you later.